Good morning. All right, let's get started. Let's see what we got here for the pre-market runners. A lot of stuff moving. SHFS, one of the nicest looking gappers. Former runner. And what do we have here for the news? Started running in after hours yesterday. We have $150 million common stock purchase agreement with Creo. Okay, with an option to increase to 500 million. Um, Looks like some kind of dilution. So they're raising some money. Looks like probably dilution. Typical stuff. Amazing looking chart here for a short. Can't get shares for this one though. For now. Something we would be able to get as we size up. So let's see, we want to add this one to the watch list. We'll keep an eye on it. SHFS, nice. So recent reverse split on this one too. And clearly pretty disgusting dilutive company. As most of these are. Okay, let's look at QURE. This one's running more like a mid-cap type stock. Not really something we want to touch. Let's check the news on it. Might be something interesting. Halted for news pending. So that's why it gapped. It had some kind of news coming out. Positive results for some trial they're doing. So good trial news. Pretty much all that matters for that. Probably going to fade. It probably will fade back. It's always interesting when they gap like this. Kind of bizarre. Usually they will have a run up and not just halt and then open higher. Very bizarre. You know, maybe it is just going to come back and try to fill this gap now. Kind of sketchy. I will keep this one on watch just to keep tabs on it. I imagine this is going to be a nice fade. But it is a mid cap, so they tend to be quite a bit more choppy and annoying. YAAS. Too cheap for me. JZX in. This one ran yesterday a little bit and then ended up gapping up overnight. Squeezing out the overnight shorts. Sort of a multi-day breakout. You really don't want to be fighting these. Here's a good setup for a breakout. So this is such a classic pattern in small cap. Got a pretty clear base here, and then it's popping up off the base, consolidating higher low. Some volume starts coming in, and then now we're sort of breaking out. You could say this was maybe a breakout level right here. It wicked up, came right back, but now it's gapping over this level. Pretty interesting. So pretty extended though. At this point, probably going to be another good short. I will keep an eye on this one. Probably should be hitting that one. All right, CLPT. Another interesting one. No news on this one. ClearPoint Neuro. Looks like another biotech. $26 million float. Looks like an ATM is queued up. So they could possibly drop that at any time. Let's see, that's a little bit old. It's from November of 24. Let's see if they ran since then. I don't really like how this one moves anyways, so I wouldn't touch it. Probably okay, but it doesn't really behave how I want. Runs more like a mid cap. So I'll watch it, but I probably won't touch this one. Sometimes I'll watch it just to see if I'm wrong. It does look like the pattern. It looks like a really nice pre-market setup, but it just looks like it moves like a mid cap. Kind of not great. Maybe on the edge with that one. All right, RCT. See, this one moves pretty nice. Maybe has a chance of squeezing here. We'll see. But nice moves. Nice former runner. This one moves a lot nicer. Much nicer looking stock for what I like to do. So let's check the news. Announces joined the NVIDIA Connect program as part of its mission to deliver a new operating system for global trade. NVIDIA Connect program. Want to see what that's all about? A lot of times these kind of this kind of news is it's something like we've partnered with Microsoft, but in other words, they're just using, you know, Windows. So if it's something like that, this is nonsense. Just a way to pump the stock up, usually. So this Connect program is a free selective initiative by NVIDIA designed to support independent software vendors, software development companies, okay, accelerating their product development, time to market for AI-driven solutions. So members gain access to NVIDIA's latest developer tools, software development kits, training and guidance, ecosystem exposure. Okay. And I guess the question is, how hard is it to join this program? So it's selective. So you can apply on their website. It is a little selective, but you can go apply. Your company needs to be decently involved with this sort of technology. Okay, so the program isn't as exclusive as some enterprise level partnerships, but it's not a free-for-all. Companies need a clear value proposition and technical synergy with NVIDIA's platforms. So you got to have clear focus on AI and okay, then you can apply and then they'll maybe accept you into the program. Okay, interesting stuff. And it's possible that this becomes a reoccurring type of news where we see, hey, X company is joining this program. So this might be the first one I've seen. I don't remember any others. So we'll see. I don't know how hard it actually is to join because a lot of these companies they make it onto the stock market. So if you can make it on the stock market, probably you can join that program. And if they can use that to pump up the stock, it would make sense. You could get a press release out of it. So we'll see where this ends up. It's a pretty small company. Okay. A lot going on. XPON. Looks like no news for this one. Definitely want to watch it. All right, we got that one. AQMS. Interesting one for sure. Okay, that looks like the main gappers. Yeah, RCT could make a move for sure. Did it back here. This is a pretty big one. Ran all the way up to 576 or 476. And then a follow-up over here to 533, 540 area. Kind of interesting. Major resistance at $3. All right, let's look at some swings here. We have Tilray. Looks pretty nice on the 2-hour chart. So we've bought this one a few times. We bought it on this trend break, sold it there, bought it on this trend break, sold it up here. Now we bought it over here on this trend break. Looking for a move higher. Hopefully we get some news. News would absolutely send this thing off the charts. But never know. And these other moves really didn't have news. Mainly just technical things going on. Let's check in on Intel. So in Intel we had a long from 24 and sold it on this news into 32. So potential rebuy as it holds this dip here. Probably not a bad rebuy. I think we could be seeing some continuation on this back into the 30s, to the mid 30s, high 30s. Not out of the question at all. So wouldn't mind a rebuy on this one. Let's see what else we have. Oracle. Very similar kind of pattern with Oracle. Big gap up. Now that was on earnings. And then held a dip. So the question is this going to hold here and then continue higher or not? It is up a lot. It is up quite a bit. So that's the only main concern with this. It's just so extended. It seems like maybe it needs to chill out for a bit before it can continue. You know, these things always want to try to fill the gap too. So really hard to say what that one's going to do. Even back over here, look what it did. It had very exact same kind of gap right here, and then it came down, held the dip, went back up, and then it just faded back all the way down. So we could have something like that happen. The other scenario is like this, pretty much something like this, where it gaps, holds the dip, or holds the gap, and then it does hold the dip, follow up, and then continues higher. Very hard to say what that's going to do now. But basically, if I was going to try the swing, I would be risking right around 289. Yeah, 289 makes sense. Okay, Tesla's a big one. Now, I have sold all my Tesla. This is quite a move. We had a massive wedge here, wedge breakout pullback, held the dip, and then it ripped right out of that wedge. So super, super impressive move. Now the question for Tesla is, can it keep going or not? I don't know. I don't think so from here. I think it needs to consolidate. You never really know, of course. But let me pull up my prediction here. So if I zoom this out to the monthly chart. Okay. Now this is on the log scale. So if you see, this likes to hold this channel. Tesla likes to hold into a channel and then break out of the channel, and that's where we get the explosive move up. And then it forms another channel. And then it has an explosive move up, and then it forms a channel. So we're in this channel still. And it seems like these channels tend to get bigger as this plays out more and more. So the first one was pretty small, broke out of that. The next one was about twice as big as the first one, and then it broke out of that. And then now this one, maybe it needs to be twice as big as this one, this previous one, which would mean we're maybe halfway through the consolidation. So I would guess that Tesla needs to pull back to the bottom of this channel, chop around quite a bit before it can go higher. It's always good to sell at the top of channels anyways, so not a bad place to be selling. The odds of it continuing like this are pretty low, at least right now. So that's kind of where I think it's at. you can see back on this previous one, it likes to push to the top of that channel and then kind of chop around there for a bit before eventually pulling back. It does a really nice dip before exploding through the next range. So just purely technical stuff. It seems like Tesla's trading way overvalued anyways, so I don't know. Really hard to say, again, with how this stuff plays out, but just looking at what's happened before, it seems to be happening again and again the same kind of way. UNH. This is my forecast for UNH, last one here before the open. I suspect this is about halfway through its run, and I think it's going to run up towards this 490 area over the next maybe month or two, something like that. Would not be surprising at all. All right, let's get ready for the open. 1 minute to the open. Focus in, and I'm going to stop rambling so much. I will try the Tesla fake out strat if it sets up. So far it's trying to set up. So we faked out the pre-market high. I want the close below the 9. The blue 9 moving average. We want to close on the 5 minute. We'll see if we get it. QURE is pushing so far. This one is more of a mid cap again, so it's not exactly what I like to trade because they tend to be more choppy and annoying. It does not behave nicely. But man, it's hard to imagine this thing not fading back off of this massive gap. It's pretty incredible. Just like Intel gapped the same kind of way, and it's been fading for days. Not surprising at all. LAC got some potential news. Government involvement rumored. Pretty incredible gap again on that one. 80% overnight. Crazy. One of our Discord members had this long too, but ended up selling into the 320 area. Great trade. But yeah, you can't predict these kind of news events. It's pretty crazy. All right, Tesla's not going to give us our fake out yet, at least. Smart Discord member. Yeah, it was a good entry. Amazing trade, really. No crystal ball. Maybe that's a sign, though. We've got the government after these lithium stocks. Maybe there's going to be more of these. Who knows? Okay, let me check in with Nike. Yeah, Nike's not set up yet. We are going to have a massive swing trade on Nike coming up. PayPal. I am adding in some PayPal for swing. Going to be averaging into this. Okay. Tilray's holding up okay. Yeah, Tesla's just ripping straight up so far. These morning spikes do usually fail though. Yeah, QU already threatening to squeeze. All right, any other big caps? Yeah, Oracle's down more. Hmm. Okay, Intel's ripping back higher. Jeez. Lulu's another big one for a swing trade. I think I'm going to start building in some Lulu. It's pretty much, it's about time. It is about time for this. Don't have to be too early. Really don't want to jump in front of it too soon. It's been on a pretty wild downtrend. Never know where these can bottom out. Boeing doing your reclaim. Oh, interesting. Really debating on if I should start adding in some Lulu. Seems early still. Maybe I'll take a piece, just a tiny piece. Just so it's in my portfolio and I don't forget about it. Okay. We'll build into that slowly. All right. BA, I might be a little bit late. Let's see what it looks like. Does look like it wants to fake out. Now I know Tesla works really good with this strat. I haven't tested other ones, but it does seem to be pretty universal. I'll give it a try here on Boeing. They're in the news. Risking 216. Maybe a little lower, maybe 215.80. We'll try that. We just wanted to push towards 219 pretty much. If a stock is in play, it's okay to try it. Other than that, I try to stick to the big ones. Tesla, Meta, Coin, Baba, maybe Baba. Okay, Intel's pushing into 30. Nice. Okay, Boeing pushing back up. We pretty much just wanted to go up towards pre-market high. That would be nice. Apple's down. Apple kind of did the setup too. Wow. This is textbook what I'm looking for. I mean, not the best because it had such a massive 5-minute candle, but it did fake out the pre-market high, came back down, and it's continuing lower for the moment. Now this one could turn into a variation of the setup where if it gives me a bounce and a smaller trend break, I might short that looking for continuation lower. Amazon PLTR, very similar setups. CoreWeave. Tesla's bucking the trend. Boeing has some potential news with China coming up, maybe part of a trade deal of some sort. So it's in the news. Things could get interesting. At the very least for the day trade. I love it when these stocks do this kind of move where you've got a pretty clear trend line right here. And then you get the fake out of the trend line and it reclaims back up. So this just trapped a bunch of short sellers. Now we have maybe China news coming out, trade deal news with Boeing. So kind of a perfect storm that could lead to a big move up in the short term at least. Never know, of course. SPY looking weak. I think if I can ride out this dip here, then things will start reversing. We've got some room on it to let it chop around. Tesla's straight up still. UNH kind of did the setup too. Pretty nice one. This is more of a textbook setup that I'm looking for the fake out strat. We got breaking the pre-market high, reversing back under the 9, 5-minute close under the 9, into continued downtrend, and then I would be scaling out into this move. Yeah, there's quite a few red stocks. Tesla's the only one, well, one of the only ones pushing. Yeah, Boeing looks like it's just not going to work. Sticking to my stop. XPON threatening to squeeze. Still alive on Boeing. All right, Boeing coming back up. Pretty nice. So we survived the dip. UNH maybe, I don't know. Almost looks like a trend break coming. Kind of conflicted on UNH. Got a decent looking trend line. UTL. So it's potentially going to put in a red day, pull back, possibly break that trend line. I don't like how it had to pull back so far to the trend line though, so I'd like to see it bounce and roll over maybe. But that's just for the day trade. The bigger picture, I think it goes higher. Also maybe a trend line like this. That looks more like a breakdown pullback. Let me get rid of these ones. Yeah, that looks like a breakdown pullback, potentially with a smaller trend line break coming intraday. All right, Boeing is pushing now. A little bit. We need some more out of it though. It has broken high day though. We'll see if it can get there. We just want it towards the pre-market high area. That's pretty much all I'm after. Xpone threatening to squeeze. All right, I think I'm going to call it there. I have a few trades on. Short XPON, RCT, CYCN. Trying this fake out trade on Boeing. Several swings on, building into those. But I'll send some updates out later in the Discord. Good luck, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow.